I'm in Cardinal Copia's bedroom. I'm drunk off watermelon box wine in fucking Los Angeles, 5,000 miles away from home, surrounded by people that I've met through this band, and some people I've only just met yesterday who I just shared a bed with. What a life! What a life!
I am all ears. A Ghost Fancast.
Hello and welcome back to the I Am All Ears podcast with me, Älva. Today we're joined by Cami, Katie, and we actually have a newbie today, Vicky, one half of the Galboy Hat Papa Maker thingy, and also Miss I Got Cerise in, was it the Woodlands show?
Yes, the Woodlands.
Yeah, he did a squeeze to her hand.
I knew you were gonna
Man's gripping.
Man's gripping. So yeah, welcome Vicky. Vicky's also been on tour with me throughout most of Europe and came to the LA shows with me and Cami. So yeah, we're gonna chime in with what the fuck happened at that.
She's
and then
kind
Katie,
of a big deal.
Yeah, Vicky is a massive deal. And shout out to Lizzie, her twin sister, who we also love and adore. There's the shout out. We also have Katie, who's going to be our resident Twitter reporter since we obviously weren't there. Well, no, we were there. We didn't have our phones to tweet about, so she's going to fill us in on what
we weren't
went
on
down
Twitter during.
That's what
everything.
I'm saying. Yeah, we were actually there. That was the problem. So guys, we have a sponsor for this episode. Do you want to know who sponsored us?
Oh, who's sponsored?
Yes.
It's sponsored by COVID-19 because all of us seem to fucking get it after the LA show. And sponsored by Night Nurse, Beecham's, whatever fucking flu remedy you have in your country.
NyQuil.
NyQuil, that's the one. So just a quick recap on that. Not everyone got COVID from the show, but most of us did, and it was sus. So if you were the person that came to the show with COVID, I hope your pillow's warm, because
I'm in your walls.
Yeah, I'm in your fucking walls. I'm so glad that everyone in the band seems to be okay, because like we're all kind of close. So luckily nothing happened, but hey ho.
Yeah, this was one of the shows where I'm like, you know what? I'm glad they didn't have meet and greet for this one, because I would feel terrible if like he got sick and like we were all sick.
Yeah, well, the panic the other night when there was that rumor about after the Brazil show that he needed oxygen, and I was like, shit, we did it!
Oh my god, is he okay? I was just freaking out.
Alright, so just a quick disclaimer. The experience that we're going to be talking about today is myself, Cami, Vicky, and the rest of our crew. We all had VIP, so this is going to be our experience with the VIP. We have a rough idea of what went down for GA, and we'll try and quickly touch on that, just to say what went down. But obviously, this is going to be our experience of what happened to us. And also, another disclaimer is, obviously, this is going to be very, very heavily spoiled. So if you don't want to know what happened at the LA Forum, well, your outlook, because this episode is going to be just about that. So tune in some other time when we're not talking about it. Okay, so night one of the queuing.
Disaster.
The worst queuing ever.
Oh, so we got there. I'm not going to disclose what time we got there because let's be real.
Well, I will say this first. It was confusing even before that because the emails that they were sending, it was not making any sense because they sent the VIP email, which kind of like gives you like a general idea of like, okay, like this is where everything kind of like starts and happens. But then the forum sent their own email being like, okay, this is the rules for like queuing for GA, which is like they start issuing like these wristbands at 9 a.m. But you're not allowed to queue at the forum before 9 a.m. But that didn't make any sense. And then they said like, oh, between 9 and 12 is when we're going to issue these wristbands. And then after that, you can basically fuck off until like 3 p.m. or something. It was something like that, but it was confusing because there was no distinction between, okay, are you just talking about regular GA? Or are you talking about GA also including VIP? it wasn't super clear, which is what led to the initial confusion of night one.
Yeah, I've got wrote down here that the VIP people were told to queue in parking lots A/L, and when we arrived there, we could kind of see that that was where the spillways tent was lined up.
Mhm.
Not lined up, like, but set up rather. However, we saw across the street that all these people were queuing up, and we got there, and this lovely girl, they made it upon themselves to write a list and separate everyone, you know, saying if you had GA, you're number one. If you've got regular VIP, here's your number. If you've got Imperium, here's your number, and separates the lines. And that was great at first. We did have a few boomer fans who were like, this fucking number system sucks, so we're just gonna do what we want anyway. And we did have I'm not gonna name names, but we did have a big account who was threatening to outrun us all anyway.
I don't remember if it was them specifically, but I know it was someone that was like in their group that was like saying that.
Later on, when
But
we
yeah,
got moved,
later.
I heard him say it from his mouth.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
because I
There's
remember.
gonna be less. They're gonna go to the lounge, and there's gonna be not hardly anyone, and we can just run by.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get onto that bit later.
I was about to say we heard a few people, and they were from the older fan base that primarily lives on Facebook.
Motherfuckers. No offense if you're listening and you're a Facebook fan.
Yeah, so we had a couple of that. Like, I feel like it was starting out okay at first, where it was like, okay, we were like kind of numbering ourselves, but then like someone said that the person who was like taking names and like, you know, writing the numbers didn't know the difference between Imperium and Tor. So that was causing some issues. So like I understood that part, but yeah, there was like I feel like again it was like kind of organized for like a second, but then like some of the older fans kind of came up later, and they were like arguing, saying how like, oh, the number system is so stupid. That was kind of like a theme among some people, like on both days, and that like a good amount of people were cool with the numbers. They thought it was fair. They thought it was fine. And then there were some people like, I'm not taking a freaking number. Like, just remember where you were. Just get behind me. Like, blah, blah, blah. But then would say it like other shit, like, I'm just going to run.
Yeah, like most people were fine with the numbers, and they were civilized. Everybody stayed in their spot. But then there's always a handful of people that just want to cut.
Well, this is where I get on to my next point was I'm not gonna like say what exactly went down on this circumstance. However, there was two lines forming in different parts of the venue, and this was causing some arguments. However, when we were all kind of getting up to move into a new queue because we thought, oh, okay, well then this must be the new queue. Said people from further back in our original queue were trying to push in, and that's when we were like, yeah, we got to keep an eye out on these people.
The queuing for the first night, like no one was actually in a line. Everyone was just kind of clustered together because I feel like people were just trying to sneak in. I feel like it was so messy on night one, also just because I feel like more people went to night one, just because of how they advertised the shows. Like obviously when the tour was announced, only the 11th was announced as like, okay, we have one show in LA, and it wasn't until after tickets had already started selling for like the whole American tour that they announced night two. So night two was kind of like an afterthought thing. It's like, oh, if people could, they attended, or like people who couldn't get night one, they got night two. So, but more people were there night one, and more people were anxious to get in night one because obviously you'd be the first to see everything. And it was just, yeah, people were just trying to like cut and be the first ones in. Like people who showed up, like, you know, like almost an hour after us were like trying to be like right next to us. And it's just like, no, what are you doing?
And with the whole second queue thing that was forming, I kind of don't. It was annoying, but to be fair, they were following the instructions that were on the email, which was go to parking lot A and L. But obviously, we were told by the venue staff.
That's where they said that the check-in was. So it's like, and we were thinking that too. We were thinking, oh yeah, this is where we're supposed to be. Like this is clearly where the VIP is. Like, you know, this is the spillways. This is the tent for the spillways lounge. Like, you know, it has to be right here. And we only moved because we saw people like were forming this big line outside. And to be fair, I don't think we technically were allowed to be on property before a certain time, so that's also where
Exactly.
some confusion was coming in.
Yeah, oh fuck. It was so I've mapped down our movements, I guess. I think. So correct me if I'm wrong. We started off on the sidewalk with pretty much all the GA people
Yeah,
on the it was Manchester Avenue or something like that side of the street.
I think so,
Uh
yeah.
then we moved when everything started kicking off. This was all before like what, 10 a.m. was it? Like
Yeah, it was
when all this
before.
happened.
It was probably like I don't know. It was before. It was pretty early.
I
It was
think we
it
all
was
got
it was before GA even got their wristbands.
I think it was pretty close to when they were getting them, if I remember right. Because I think Roger went and was talking to the people that were setting up to do the wristbands to try to figure out where we're supposed to be, but they didn't seem to know.
Yeah, I think we all got in our final position by about 10. But yeah, it went sidewalk on Manchester Avenue. Then we moved to next to the Spillways Lounge. Then we moved in front of the Spillways Lounge. Then back to the side of the Spillways Lounge. Then back onto the street. Then into several lines sort of in the car park adjacent to the street. And then we were finally moved to the final position. I think that was
Yeah,
around about the amount
yeah.
of times we moved. So that was
What
like
was it? Like
6 or 7.
Casey showed up at like what was it like after he showed up like after 12, and that's when he like escorted us over.
Yeah, and we got told he wasn't going to show up till like 4, so we were panicking. But he showed up very early. Thank God for Casey.
Yeah, we were literally like in the middle of nowhere in the parking lot, and then right close to like this street corner, and everybody was not really in much of a order, like they were saying earlier, because everyone was just kind of lumped together. So we have this huge parking lot, but you're like almost shoulder to shoulder with people anyway, because people don't want to
Mm,
spread out.
no, for real.
I will just put out there the security at the forum was trying their best. They were trying their best based on like what I guess what they know is their rules for the forum, and then also kind of like the very little bit of information they knew about the show. Apparently, they didn't know much about anything. Like from my understanding, like I guess they didn't expect VIP people to show up early. I guess they expected them to show up like closer to 4, which is like, have you attended any show before? But anyway, um, I digress. They were trying their best. There was this one security person that was like trying their best to try to make things as fair as possible. Like if you have a number, you line up in the order of that number. That was that. And if you showed up at this time, you line up after them. Like she was trying her best.
She
I'll just
cried.
put that out. Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I saw her crying, and I was like, I cried thinking about it. She was so sweet as well, and she did not deserve the shit some people were giving her. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Hmm.
felt so bad for it, but some like we're telling you it was a disaster. This is not an exaggeration. People
It
were
was a
like
disaster.
shouting at each other. It was major disaster. And then this poor lady came to try to solve it because apparently somebody complained to security. So this one person comes over, and there's probably I don't know how many, a lot over there, and everybody was giving her a hard time with like different stories of how it should be, and she was just like, "We're all adults. Can we just chill out?" kind of thing.
But yeah, I think eventually then when Casey came along and moved us to there was an area just sort of to the side of the Spillways Lounge, near the trees.
Hmm.
And then we had the separate lines for VIP. The GA were the opposite side of the venue, and obviously Tour VIP had their own line. Things
Yeah,
seemed to chill a little
GA
bit.
GA never left. GA got to stay where they were, and they were just vibing. And then
Yeah.
VIP was just all freaking out because we had no information, or the information we kept getting it kept like contradicting with the other, and everyone was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to get in line for a show. That's all I'm trying to do.
Real, like, to be fair, if we'd have just got like our spots and our number and then that was it, that would have been fine. But it was just all the sneaky people and moving around and losing places, and yeah, it was just that
Mhm,
wasn't fun. Um,
mhm.
Katie, did you see anything on the timeline while this was going on? I know a few people were reporting that moods were low, but I don't know. Did you notice anything?
Yeah, I heard about the security guard crying and I was like, what the flip is going on over there? Like, how bad are people acting that the security guard who is hired to be tough and scary is crying? Like, what?
Real. Yeah, it was bad.
So like when I heard that, I figured it was so bad. And then of course I was hearing the reports of certain people behaving badly in the queue and things like that. So I was like, this is like France 2.0.
Yeah.
Honestly, at times it felt worse than France.
Because at least with France, we were just in like the majority of the time in the same place right until it was like closer to the doors that France was a problem, whereas this was just a problem continuously, like every like half an hour.
As soon as we lined up, like it just kept going downhill from there.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh.
Oh, and we brought chairs to try and like, so we weren't like just sitting on the ground the whole time, and that was like the biggest pain in the ass because we just kept moving them every single time. I kept moving these chairs, and then I had a million bracelets, so every time someone moved, I'm trying to grab everything, and then everyone's like running, and I'm like, wait, I'm just trying to get to my friends. Like I was like freaking out, just carrying all this heavy shit, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Oh no.
The fucking cinnamon roll that I never got to actually eat. That I got DoorDash to the queue.
I remember you were so sad about that. You seemed like so sad. I just want to eat my cinnamon roll.
And then I threw it away because I was too anxious.
Oh no.
Like everyone was like not like straight up not having a good time like for the longest time. Even I feel like even when we lined up like officially by like the VIP area, like where we were supposed to be, like even then like no one was in a good mood. Like it took me like an hour or two before I was like, okay, I'm gonna go like give away some bracelets now.
Yeah, honestly, after time, I kind of went off away from the queue and just kind of stood in the distance, sort of nearby, or sat somewhere because it was like too much for me.
Yeah, we did notice that, but we figured we'd just leave you to it for a while.
Yeah, no, it was stressful, like because it's just like because yeah, we were finally lined up and we were kind of in the shade, but also like we were just nervous of how like people were gonna act because of what things we had been hearing earlier, and it's just like, oh my god, this is just a fucking mess.
Yeah, and we were like, if people are acting like this now, who knows what they're going to be like once the doors open. But we'll get to that later, because obviously, like, we'll tell you how that all went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people were generally chill. Like, in terms of, like, once we were kind of settled and, speaking to each other and be like, hey, I know you from Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was cool. Like, but it was very much like, are these people going to stab us all in the back and just, like,
Real.
real. Like, trust no bitch. I didn't even trust myself. Alright, so for night 2, it was a little bit better. So
I felt like it was significantly better night 2 because a lot of the people that were doing VIP for night 2 did night 1. So they're like, we're not repeating this shit.
So we were made to we were told that we couldn't be on the property again. So we went to the sidewalk that was on, I cannot remember the street name. I feel like that's the one I was going to say. It began with a P, but it was like kind of you could see where we had been queuing the day before. So once the time would come, we would just hopefully all just
basically it was like directly across the parking lot from where we were before. Like we just formed a line on the sidewalk from where the sidewalk, and then like it was like sidewalk and then parking lot and then where we queued the day before.
And then same people showed up again who were kind of causing problems the day before, and we were just a bit like, But I think everyone was a bit more like on their
I will say
bit.
the person that we were, side eyeing, they did get a number for night 2, so I will respect that.
Yeah, they were still like, I don't know, try. When you see them,
yeah, but they did get a number. Like we were still doing the numbers for the queuing, just because, it just makes sense. Like just to try to keep everyone fair. At least I haven't done numbers before, like for ghost shows, but like I don't know, it just made sense to me. like when we were doing that, like, and I didn't have any problem with it, but there were still like some people that were making like a stink about it, being like,
Mm.
yeah, like, just get behind me, just remember where you were.
There was this one guy who was like arguing with one of the people who was kind of keeping track of numbers for like 45 minutes about the numbers. Like it wasn't like a mean argument. They seemed to be having a civil discussion, but like for so long I heard him talking about like, but it's not real, it's not official. Well, I don't understand
Well,
what we have
and
to do this.
you want to know what's so funny about that? He was Tor.
Yeah.
He was Tor VIP, so I'm like, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, just take it, forget. Okay, whatever.
So,
Whatever.
yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, we got told that we couldn't be on the property until 3 today, and we were like, oh shit. So we
Well,
were on.
at first it was like, okay, so we're gonna have someone talk to us at 9 when they're, when
Oh
GA, like,
yeah.
yeah. So that's what happened at first. They told us that someone would come and, like, tell us something, and maybe bring us on the property at 9, because 9 is like the special number, because like 9 o'clock is when like GA starts getting their wristbands. So it's like, okay, 9. It sounds like that's when we're allowed to
And
be on
and
top.
and there was GA people queuing on the property at 9, just in a different location. Like they were no
Yeah, the
longer on the
inside.
sidewalk. They were near like a gate to go in
Hmm.
at 9. But we had to stay on the sidewalk because it was safer apparently.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. So yeah, so this lady came out and she was like, it was like, I want to say it was closer to 10 at this point when she came out, and she
Yeah.
was saying like, okay, like, because she was like confirming that we were all just VIP, not GA, and she's like, she's saying that VIP are like separate people, blah blah blah, like the VIP team are like separate people from like the Kia Forum people. And then she said, like, unfortunately, we can't have you on the property until like 3:30. It's for your safety, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, cool. So having us on the sidewalk next to a busy road is a lot safer than having us, lined up right next to where we need to be, not in the parking lot. Makes total sense.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense. Unless did VIP have some special insurance covered by Bestie or something? Because I want to know. Was that part of our admission price? Because is
We
that
were
why?
strongly in danger of getting hit by a truck. I feel like they were so close sometimes, zooming by.
Yeah, I saw someone lying down and their foot was almost in the road and it nearly got taken out.
No.
It was so stressful because it was, well, like, okay, it wasn't as stressful as day one, but it was like a new kind of stress. And it was just like, there's no way this is like safer. But I also couldn't complain that much because we were also in the shade. Because then,
Oh
because
yeah.
then, because then, as soon as Casey came by, like Casey, he showed up. He showed up fairly early that
I'm
day.
gonna say 11.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say around 11 too.
yeah, so he showed up, and then it was actually really nice how he escorted us over. Like, there was a golf cart guy as well who like escorted us over to the VIP, and people actually stayed in a single file line, at least from what I saw. Like, people were in a single file line, and then they lined up in a line. It was not like day one, it was a cluster. Like, everyone was clustered together because they were trying to sneak. But then
Mm.
night two, I feel like people actually were in an actual line, but that sucked for us because we were no longer in the shade.
Oh yeah, so we were just battling the elements in night two. That's what kind of sucked. And then do you remember when I got an absolute bollocking of a lifetime? Because bear in mind these bushes had been
Oh
crushed
yeah.
from the night before, and they'd been dead for like 48 hours. So I just went and stood in the shade, which was by these wild strawberry bushes. And the security guy came up to me, and like, "You realize you just killed some wild strawberry bushes? Look at that!" I was like, "Bro, they were already dead yesterday. Like, this is not my fault."
They had no chance.
They had no chance. I was just already like sitting on a dead corpse.
Also, random. I don't know who is in charge of the landscaping with the Kia Forum, but I have words for whoever decided to pick those plants that surround the Kia Forum parking lot that literally smell like cat pee.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I have
Oh, that
strong
was
words
definitely a
because, like,
bad choice.
because we walked it, because me and Lizzie were walking around just trying to get an idea what was going on during everything, and like I couldn't even walk on the sidewalk because I was just hit with this like ammonia smell, and I'm just like, it smells like cat piss, and I'm like,
Do we
so
know
gross.
Awful.
if it was from a cat though, and not a person?
No,
'Cause
no,
the
like
porta
literally
potties were pretty bad.
like there was a person in Tour VIP. I can't remember her name. I follow her on different things, but I can't remember her name right now. She was saying like, no, that's literally what the plant smells like. They literally picked plants that smell like this.
Maybe that's
Gross.
their method of stopping people from queuing. Ain't gonna work,
Oh,
bitch.
I'll
Oh,
become nose blind for a little bit.
yeah. To be fair, and also like it made me laugh because a lot of people were from California and were struggling with the heat, so my British ass had no fucking chance.
We
Still
It was
birds.
told you.
it was it was actually the weather was kind of cool, like for the most part, but then as soon as like a sun came out, when a sun crept through, it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, it did get a little bit toasty, I will say. I will agree. It was a little toasty towards the end of the day.
So I feel like it was a lot calmer. Like not a lot happened, just a little bit more chilling.
Oh
This
yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this bit in before we go on to the next bit, even though it's kind of related to the later point. Do you remember when that guy pushed in when just before we were going to the pit, and then literally a couple of days ago on Twitter, it turned out he was a fucking Nazi?
Yeah.
What the
Fuck.
fuck? So,
Because
Oh
I
Lord.
remember seeing that guy, like we didn't see him at all that morning, and then it was just like, who are you? And then he was like talking with people in the queue, and it's just like, okay, are you like moving? Because you weren't here with us this morning, and like actually another couple did that too. Like a bunch of like there were like random people that like showed up, and then it's like, okay, we didn't see you this morning. What time did you show up? And then, like, I remember that one couple was like, oh, yeah, we showed up at like 3 p.m. It's like, okay, we've been here since this morning. So you need to get to the back of the line. Like, oh, I didn't know how this works. I'm like, you don't know how the line works? Like, how
Oh
old
yeah,
are
there's
you?
the people that come right up to the tent, like as they're setting it up, the VIP check-in tent, and they're just
mm,
standing there. Like, you guys can clearly see this giant line. Why are you just cutting it from me?
bro.
But yeah, there was that one guy where he was just like he was talking with people, a friend, and then people were like, so like, are you moving because you weren't here with the rest of us? Like, get away. And then yeah, we
Mm.
found out like almost 2 weeks later, like a week later or something, that he's a freaking Nazi.
Yeah, and he's got videos on YouTube of him fighting like a fucking UFC fighter, getting like fucking
What?
So
mauled.
he was fighting a Jewish UFC fighter.
Did he? Did the Jewish guy win?
Yeah,
Please,
he
thank
did.
fuck.
At least from what I saw, like apparently that guy took a beating.
Thank fuck for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was just
Why?
so funny because like that one girl on Twitter, she was like saying it's like, yeah, I was like hanging out with him because he was just like so cool, but he left out this major detail I found out from a fucking YouTube thumbnail.
Why? Why? I don't understand why. Because apparently he got VIP off some guy who was in front of us. Like I think he'd sold it to him. Like, why are you
Mhm.
paying that much money to see like one of the most liberal bands ever?
Mm-hmm.
Make it make
For,
sense.
for especially you have VIP for like that specific show, gayest show ever, the
Oh my god,
gayest
yeah.
show of all fucking time.
We'll get on to that because fucking
Oh,
hell, we have
one
things.
thing I want one thing I want to say before we move on to like actually like checking in and whatever.
Hmm.
I have personal beef with the Kia Forum bathrooms.
What the Portaloos?
Yeah, the Bordellos.
You got beef, bro.
They
Oh my
Those
they
god.
were
were those
so
were
bad.
the like those were atrocious.
They
They were.
they had like 20 of them lined up, kind of far away, but not like super far from where the VIP queue was. Like 20 of them, and we'd go sometimes to find one to use, and you'd just start at the beginning, and like, we'd literally go through like 15 before finding one that didn't look like you'd just like contract a terrible disease instantly from how like disgusting they were.
And
And
then you
all
had to
and
find one with toilet paper.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, they
almost
were
almost none of them had toilet
BYOTP.
paper. People were using the toilet liners,
Oh
and
my
then
god.
it just got to a point where I'm just like, I'm really glad I had hand sanitizer with me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that much.
And then I'm gonna spill the tea on this one because I don't think I actually said no. I must have said about this on the timeline, surely. But all I'm gonna say is I had American Taco Bell for the first time the night before, after night one.
Oh no!
So you can imagine what happened and the fear that I had that whole day.
Alva was so close to like tapping out completely from that
I
show.
nearly had to just call my quits and say, like, fuck it, I'm gonna have to be at the back of the fucking venue. So
No, but
close.
but the motherfucking goat Kate had she bought Imodium for somebody
Oh,
earlier in the queue, and like that saved your life. It literally saved your life.
that and our Swedish
Yeah,
friends
yeah,
went
we
and
were
bought toilet
looking
paper.
so miserable before when we were because they were taking so long to let us go into the Spillways Lounge. Because as soon as we would get let into there, you could kind of just pass through it and go to like a real bathroom that was part of the
Porcelain
building.
thrones.
But they were taking like way longer to let to start like doing the security thing. Like once we were already checked in, we moved to a new line, which was the same line just in a different place. But we were just standing there for a long time. Like the first day, I feel like it wasn't that long that we were standing
No.
there. So then I was just there suffering, and they're like prolonging it for no reason.
Yeah, because I could have easily gone and ran back to the Portaloos if I'd have found like anyone that would have been usable, and like come back and been fine. But because I assumed we were only going to be there like 5 minutes, I was like shaking, almost throwing up, and I was like, But did you see those people that seemed to just get let in, like halfway through before we even got let in? I think they may have cheekily asked if they could use the bathroom, and I should have probably done the same.
I
Because
hadn't
I know,
noticed.
yeah, they were getting their phones put in the pouches, and they went through the Spillways Lounge, but they weren't in the Spillways Lounge, so I'm wondering if they went to the bathroom.
That
It's
is a
possible.
possibility.
Yeah, why didn't I do that? I was too scared. Anyway,
Oh,
so
quick thing I want to say, because with the check-ins, are we at that point yet?
that's what I was going to move on to. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Um, I will say, I liked with this tour that when you checked in, they gave you like a raffle ticket number so that
mm-hmm.
you could stay in line after check-in, like in the order that you checked in. So like, and you had to be in that line the entire time until you got into the venue. And even in the venue, they were like made sure like you kind of stayed in order. Super
Yeah,
cool.
the first show we went to, me and Lizzie, on this tour was Denver, and then like so that was towards the beginning, and I was so scared that the people were just gonna ignore the tickets. But then, so in Denver, we didn't even go to the lounge; we just didn't go. But Olivia, who works with the VIP stuff, the real hero, she came by
Queen.
and made everybody get an order. So then it was all good. Everybody cheer for Olivia.
Yeah, literally shout out to Olivia, we love you. Because yeah, the way
It's
it
the
kind of
best.
worked, the way it kind of worked in LA was you had to kind of walk through the Spillways Lounge to like go anywhere anyway, so you had no choice but to still see the Spillways Lounge. However, just prior before that, obviously this was going to be a show. Um, so yeah, what happened was like we were all in the VIP line, and then we went up to the VIP tent, gave our names, got our lanyards, got our obnoxiously big posters. Um, and then waited in line to then have our phones put into the pouches because obviously this was a no phone show. So each night differed. Like we said, the first night it felt like we were only waiting 5 minutes before we had our phones in our pouches and then walked through the Spillways Lounge. But this night two was a lot fucking longer. Believe me, it felt like 600 hours when you've had Taco Bell. Um, but then yeah, like once like you said, we were given a raffle ticket, and the first night they fucked up because we were all like, hang on, these aren't in order. But Casey, God bless his soul, like popped them all out to a new roll, so we all got a numerical ordered, if that's how you say it,
Mhm.
raffle ticket. But
We
then
were
yeah,
back in order.
we were all in order, and then Olivia was like, right, sort of like 5:30, even though none of us had a fucking watch. Um, we'll like line you up. But yeah, so we had our phones taken away from us, and we got let into the Spillways Lounge. Great. However, this was the problem. We didn't have our phones on us, so there was many photo opportunities, including the big Infestissimum thing that we couldn't have photos taken with, or scan this QR code to see more information about this. We don't have a
I'll
scanner.
just remember the QR code and draw it myself after the show, and then scan it.
I just have to, yeah, I just have to like, oh, I have to take a photograph with my memory, and then like I'll log it, I'll draw it, and scan it later.
Yeah, I
Like
was kind of
it's like I understand just because of how they set up the lounge, where it was kind of like literally like a walkthrough. Like you go through the lounge, there's like the merch and like where people kind of like hang out and line up. Like
mm,
I guess like I understand, but it was also like so stupid. It's like the whole point of the lounge is to see all these things, to take pictures, like to scan codes to learn more about it, and like a big photo opportunity. But you took
Yeah,
away
like
all our
that
codes.
Simone thing with the baby and the huge like papa, like clearly you're
yeah,
missing a picture there. What is the
yeah,
point of having it set up that way and then you're like, Sorry, no pictures." I feel like
yeah,
it would have been cooler if they put our phones in the bag after the Spillways Lounge, but I don't know how. Maybe logistically it's not possible, but it would have been
yeah,
cooler.
yeah. Especially because the rest of the tour got to take photos in there. I wanted a selfie with the dildo. Like, god damn it.
And then we were trying to think like, oh, could we have someone take our picture? It's like, no, we don't have our phones.
No, like it would have been cool if they just set like I don't know, like a crew member up or something, just with a
Yeah,
DSLR,
like
like with the
it would have been nice if they had some, yeah, like what you said, like a crew member where it's like, like okay, we have a professional photographer, but then I also feel
mm,
like this Spellways Lounge would take a shit ton longer.
true, true. But
So I don't know. I had beef with the fact that that was my only time. Like it was yours too. That was my only time seeing the lounge, and I couldn't take any fucking pictures.
yeah, and last time I saw the Veneration of Relics, it was like so fucking low lighting, and we were so rushed that I barely took any photos, and they were all fucking blurry. So I was like,
Hmm.
redemption! I can actually take selfies with like fucking Terzo. Nah, not happening. And then can we discuss the chips and dip?
I was
Lame.
so I was so pissed because like I feel like I heard people had like actual food. Like they had fucking like fajitas in the
Yeah,
woodlands.
in the
Yeah.
woodlands, the
They,
food was so fire. It was so good. I was vibing for the few minutes we were in there. It was excellent. We go in there, it's like incense is on. There's spooky, like sewer music. I don't know how else to describe it. And so you go inside and you smell incense and fajitas. What more do you want? Then we go and we get our little plate of fajitas with delicious queso actually, and it had like they had tortilla chips and tortillas, and they had chicken and beef, and they had like nacho toppings like pico de gallo and stuff. And so we get our little plate. They had like water bottles in the corner you could just get. So we got to have some delicious nachos next to the bodies while listening to some very nice sewer music.
Oh my god.
and
Taking
then
the
and then
Rat Man all
and
the
then
way to the next level.
Right?
and then in fucking Los Angeles, where I thought Los Angeles was gonna pop off with the food. And like I thought we were gonna have like some like gourmet tacos or something. Like something. And then we go in, it's literally just like it's like lemonade, tea, cucumber water, and then chips and dip.
The
And
tea
some
was
carrots.
bad too. It was nasty tea.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was unsweet tea.
Yeah, who would want that?
I don't know,
Oh,
but it was just like yeah, it was just tortilla chips and then like five different like kinds of dip and then like some
Yeah, and
vegetables.
some of
And
the
it's just
large
like
chips are not even ones that go with tortilla chips. Like they couldn't get a bag of Lay's
they
in
had
there.
they had like hummus and like a ranch dip, and I'm just
oh my
like, I guess that was meant for the veggies, but I was still just like, man. I will say the spinach dip was kind of good, but not $400 good.
Lizzie said
god.
that the salsa wasn't bad. That was the one dip that like went with the chips.
Mm. Oh my
But
god, because like
we've been thinking all along like they're gonna the Spillways Lounge is gonna have like one pizza cut into like 276 slices and like a bag of chips.
Oh.
And they got it was just a bag of chips, like some dips.
And you know
true.
what? You know what was even worse about this? It was the exact same on night two. So it was just like we were just disappointed twice.
Oh no.
You know what was dumb? It was after the for night one. I still didn't eat anything, like being like, yeah, I'm gonna get dinner in the Spillways Lounge. I don't need any food. And then there was nothing, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking starve and pass out. Why didn't we learn? And do you remember the guy that was just rolling it in the fucking like tub of ranch dip in the parking lot? We were like,
Oh,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I remember. I remember seeing the people like come in, like roll like this different stuff in, and I'm like, I was trying to get an idea of what was going on, and I guess I got it. I saw the chips, and I got an idea of the dip, so I was like, okay, so we got some chips and dips. That's the side item, right? That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I was like,
the
there's gotta be
side to
something
the
else.
main course, right?
I mean, they could have
Aw.
given us like some hot dogs. I would have been happy. They're pretty
Yeah,
cheap.
exactly.
Literally, I was expecting so much more than fucking chips and dip.
I can't believe y'all got
Dips,
robbed of the
dips, and vodka.
gachos and
I
the
know, right?
fajitas.
I was hearing
I
so
felt
many cool like dishes that they had at like different shows, like especially with the Woodlands having a full blown like fajita bar. I was
I
just
was
like, what
so
the hell?
surprised in the Woodlands. I thought it was gonna be like it was in LA, and then we went in there and they had actually delicious fajitas. Like as a Texan, we know what good fajitas, and so we go there and I was like, these are probably gonna be so bad, but I'm gonna get some chicken anyway. It was so good.
Yeah, so what you could also do was you could walk straight through the Spillways Lounge and go and do your early merch shopping. And there was a exclusive forum poster, and then there was like a matching T-shirt exclusively for the forum as well that wasn't seen on the rest of the tour. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the shirt was basically it was just the poster, like the poster that they came out with specifically for the forum, where it's like Copia in the military jacket, and he's like it looks like he's like about to kiss the forum, and then he's got like a finger pointing at it. That beautiful fucking artwork. They had
the
that in
soup
the
bowl.
T-shirt. They had that, and then they had it was the same art on the Kia Forum poster, but like they had like in gold it was said like, oh, the Kia Forum, and then it had the dates for the show and like Roman numerals. And there was only that poster was especially exclusive because there was only 666 copies, and the poster itself,
They had to sell it for $66.66.
No tax.
I was so mad it was so expensive. Like I honestly I didn't see the price at first. I literally like I was like, okay, I'll get the poster and the shirt because it's the forum, and then there was also a cool design on the back of the forum shirt. And I was like, cool. And then they're like, yeah, that's $120. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you've got two items here. That's gonna come to a total of $900 million.
Like I shit you not. When he told me the total and I was pulling out my card, I was like, I literally said, "Fuck you, Tobias Force."
No,
Do you remember
Alma
on night?
was there. She can attest to that.
I think I also said the same thing. But do you remember on night two? Because our Swedish friends obviously didn't have Imperium VIP, so we took it upon ourselves for night two to get the merch for them early and then throw it over the gate so they could go put it in the car. However, as I said earlier, I was having some issues, so I gave Cammy my card, ran to the bathroom, and I couldn't like. I was just there sitting there, like trying not to pass out. But I heard my phone buzz, and I was like, "Oh, that's £120 just gone." Like I knew she'd just spent the money on it. Like obviously I got paid back, but I was just like, oh, there goes some money. Fuck you, Tobias.
But yeah, it was just like it's a super cool poster. But I'm just like, $66, 66 cents. I'm like, you fucking asshole with your goddamn memes.
Aw.
there's like, that meme. I don't know. I don't know if I can't think of how to describe it, but it's like a sad looking like black and white drawing of a kind of a person like shape, and it just says "Yes, honey." Do you know what I'm
No.
talking
Oh
about?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think
They're like, we're
so.
gonna
Yes,
charge this
dear.
amount for the exclusive merch, and we're just like, "Yes, honey, here's the card. Just take it."
I'm just
Yeah.
like, I hate you so much. I'm like, I got two things, and it was $120. I was like, ah.
Yeah, so after all that, I guess we were then like called out to line up essentially. So yeah, we got put in order of our raffle tickets and we were waiting, sort of snaking around the venue on the inside. We'd spoken to Olivia prior because I'd kind of tipped her on saying like, "Hey, these guys are sort of saying they're gonna outrun us. Are we gonna
Queen
be
was
what?"
the queen. She's like, if they run, we're kicking them out. They're not coming
Yeah,
in
so
to the show.
she was like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna walk you down to the pit." I was like, "Bless you, my child. Love
Hero
you.
behavior.
Hero behavior." So then, do you have anything else to say before I talk about us lining outside the pit?
I'll just say Olivia again is the goat because she was so cool, and like I even gave her a candy bracelet and she was like so excited when I gave it to her. She was like one of the nicest human beings I ever met, and she checked numbers. I want to say like 4 or 5 times to make
Yeah.
sure everyone was in line, and so
Where was
she
she in
was
France?
No, she
she
wasn't.
was she
Oh, you
was
said
so
she
cool.
wished
She
you
was
were.
the best.
She was
Yeah.
still in heaven getting her angel wings.
Literally, we need her in France. Can we bring her on every single? I will pay more money if it means we get Olivia on every tour,
For real,
Mhm.
I would too. It would be so much better.
please. So then so this is like obviously going back to night one now. We're in the dark, figuratively, of knowing what the fuck we're about to
A little
witness.
bit literally when we got inside.
Yeah. So we got taken down to the side of the pit, and there's like a glass window into the pit before we actually got let through the doors.
It's
And
like it was like a wall of windows and there was a bunch of curtains, and then we were walking through like the some of the curtains were like a little bit open, and like I
mm,
peeked through, and I remember the first thought that went through my mind is like I'm just trying to get an idea of how the layout is because I've never seen the inside of the forum, like especially like
mm.
empty, and like I looked and like I saw there was a second stage with a
With a
goddamn
piano.
piano.
Piano. Fuck.
They were like, what's the piano? What's gonna happen? Why is there a piano? Why is there two stages? Where is the main stage? What's the direction of that? Because I couldn't really see it. Because then
Mm.
there was like a cut in not a cut, but they were open like a maybe a foot in the curtains, and I guess some guy saw that we were looking in them, and
Yeah.
he came and shut the curtain.
He
I was like,
closed
you
the curtain so
bastard.
fast.
Yeah, because what were some of the songs we were theorizing? We were saying like Darkness, Life Eternal, maybe. Like, I think those were what we were sort of theorizing at first.
Because at that time we only saw a piano, we didn't see anything else. Like
Mm.
we just saw the stage of the piano, and then we saw the main stage, and then that was it. Like so we thought there was only a piano in there, and then like for a while I thought like is it like a permanent addition that they didn't want to move or something?
The
I
center
was like
stage.
yeah, I thought it was just like maybe just like something that was just there all the time. Like again, I didn't I haven't watched a lot of shows from like the forum, so I didn't know like what the setup was on the inside. So I was just like I don't like are they gonna use it? Is this like a real thing? What song are they gonna play? Ah,
Yeah,
screaming.
but that wait outside the pit, that also felt like fucking forever.
Oh my, I was like shitting my pants. I was so anxious.
Katie, was you around when like sort of it was getting close to, being let in time? What were the vibes?
The vibes. Everybody was like really nervous. I know a lot of people had talked about they were gonna joke about like what was happening, or like post things that were fake. But actually, not a lot of people ended up doing that because I think everybody was actually like really nervous and just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Like, prayers to Satan for our brothers and sisters in the pit because we don't know what's gonna go on.
I mean, we'll get onto this later, but we literally said like after the show, like anything we joked about would have been more
There's not gonna
believable.
Like we before while we were queuing, and even the days before when because we got to LA like a couple days before the actual show, and we had actually like talked about like okay, we need to come up with like a lie so that we all tweet the same thing so everyone believes us. But then when the show was happening, like, no one's gonna believe it anyway.
No, but like literally when all of that, I turned to Cabby who was next to me in the at the barrier. It was like, who is gonna believe that? We can tell them the truth, and they're gonna be like, "No, you're lying." Like we
Like
could not
this
have come up with something like that.
this sounds fake. This sounds fake.
Yeah.
Um oh yeah, spoiler alert, we ended up at Barrier.
Well, this was what I was going to go into next. So what happened next was the pit was open, and luckily everyone seemed to calmly but still kind of power walk and we all got like it was fairly straightforward. We're getting the places that we wanted for both nights, which was great.
Mhm.
I did see. I do want to say I don't know if I pointed this out, but I didn't want to cause a scene like at the time, obviously for obvious reasons. But as I was walking in on night two, someone in front of me was hugging someone, and I looked over and it was fucking Hayden. And I was like, "What the fuck, you doing here, bitch?" But then I was like, But I was like too focused, like, no, we need to go get our spot. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, we got our spaces, all was groovy. And then we had a long ass wait. But the security were cool, they were keeping us like, they were vibing, they were funny.
Jesus Christ was there.
Yeah, we chanted Jesus.
Oh yeah. There was a guy dressed up as Jesus up in the seats, and then when everyone saw him, everyone was like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
Now
And then
this
there was
guy,
a
he would come out. He would come, and every time he came in and out several times, and then he would go and like stand with his arms out, and he was like enjoying the attention. It was fun.
Oh,
Oh,
he
he
was
was great.
it was really funny because like we brought we brought these dry erase boards with us because I thought that we were gonna like actually commit to it and like write different signs, but then also I was planning on taking notes. So I was taking notes but I was taking like cryptic notes. Like I wrote down like Jesus, like saying like Jesus was there, but it's just like a guy in the audience, and like there was someone that was in a really really cool Primo cosplay. They were there for both nights. They were really cool because it was like super glittery and you could see them like you could see them very clearly even from the seats. And then it was so cool because they had the whole I keep forgetting how to pronounce it. Is it miter or
So
mitra?
something like
Yeah,
that. Minor.
miter.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, miter. So like she had like the full like miter, like primo miter, but then underneath she had a tiny baby one, so she wasn't blocking anybody's view.
She was
Oh, I
iconic.
love that.
So
It was a top tier cosplay. I loved it because she was in the pit on night 2, so I saw the baby primo miter, and it was like the cutest fucking thing. It was like a little headband. I loved
And then
it.
do you remember that someone held up a little rat dressed as a pope, and everyone was going like Pope rat or rat Pope rat
Oh,
Pope
yeah.
rat,
Rap, pope.
and then everyone was holding Plashir up, just being like, fucking love
And then
them.
they were like headbanging him to the music.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to shout out to Tobias because I'm assuming he's in charge of the pre-show playlist because it was all his favorite stuff. Fuck you! I can't listen to Land of Confusion anymore without crying.
For real, why did that one especially stick out?
It's
Why
because
is
it's such
that
a
the
good
one?
song.
And like I put it on in the car and stuff several times just because I enjoy suffering, I guess. But that's the take on me. I can't ever listen to them the same.
No. Fuck
And then
you.
he threw in the playlist, because I guess this wasn't like involved in like the other shows playlist, but like for LA they included like I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. I'm like, are you
Oh, I
trying to tell us
forgot about
Oh
that
my
one.
god.
I wanted to slap him. And then that random song that sounded very new metal, and I was like, bro, come on, admit to yourself.
Are you fucking with us?
His hand slipped. That was an accident.
His Spotify playlist did that automatic refill thing.
I am all ears. The ghost fan.